Alan wa salam. My name is Larry Laham. I've read the Quran. In fact, I've read several different translations. I want to say that I think that the fear that the Islamic community talks about so frequently is a bit of a red herring. I think that there is very little empirical evidence of outright discrimination and threats toward the community. There are some, I agree, but in a study that I saw, the Jewish community had far more than the Islamic community. Now, getting back to the foundations, I'd like to have the Imam talk a minute about Surah 551 and Surah 9:5. You probably know these are the surahs that were written after Medina, and explain what they mean, how someone like me, a polytheist, might take them wrong.
So can you repeat the verses? I'm going to have to find them on my app. I'm not memorizing the Quran, so just a minute, please. Surah 5 what?
551.
51.
You know, I think.
We'll read the.
Do you mind if I address your other question really quick? I think that to say that because there are not documented numbers of what is, you know, the discrimination that the Muslim American community has faced, that you don't have documentation of that, and then to say that, you know, it's a red herring, I think might be unfair, because I'll just share a personal story with you. It's actually my brother's story, so he's not here. So okay, you know, he was in medical school, and you know, got to observe a surgery, and he's really excited. He walks into the operating room, and the surgeon who was going to do this surgery says to him, "Doesn't he look like that effing towelhead Osama bin Laden?" So what is somebody supposed to do in that situation? Is that a documented case of discrimination? And this happened, but now when this happened, nobody in the room even flinched, because the surgeon was so bigoted and made so many comments, sexist remarks and whatever remarks, that nobody, the women in the room didn't flinch because they were used to hearing it from him and whatever. So for us to say, I mean, this is one of those isms. You know, this is and I think that unfortunately right now the Muslim American community has almost become like they've accepted the fact that they're supposed to take it a little bit. When things happen.
Excuse me, when I was young, I have a cousin who's very dark complected. And we went to the beach at a small lake just outside of Grand Rapids. And we were swimming, and we were very young, 8, 10 years old. And we were demanded to leave because they didn't want our time there.
Right. So you understand. Right.
Education and assimilation, we assimilate.
Right. And well, I mean, and I also think that, like, you know, things happen to our children, things happen in our community. And if, you know, right now, we're sharing with you what we're experiencing. That's what we're here to do tonight. And I just want you to understand that just because there are not necessarily, there's not documentation, and, you know, we really only have CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, and MPAC, who are working on our behalf. And is everyone reporting every little incident that happens to them? I don't think they are.
Could I add a little comment to that one?
Can I, before you do that,
Yeah.
I think I have an obligation to answer the question, and you're going to have to tell me about the other the verse. This verse 551 talks about Muslims do not take Jews and Christians as protectors because they're protectors of one of each other. Whoever does that belongs to them. Surely Allah does not guide the unjust people. The unjust people, if you see the end of the verse, it means those who have wronged the Muslims, who have done persecution against the Muslims. Because those who have been friends with Muslims, who have done nothing wrong to Muslims, in another verse of the Quran directly and clearly says that God by no means forbids you to take to be just and friendly, and to take as your dear friends and neighbors those among specifically Jews and Christians who are in the Quran people of the book, special status among other non-Muslims because of the belief in one God, as your friends, those who have been just to you, which is absolutely the vast majority of the people. But those who have planned and designed to persecute you or kill you, do not make a mistake by befriending them. I mean, this is a basic human concept. Do not take your enemy as your friend. But this is individuals. Quran is very direct about the human nature of every single man on earth. And Allah says in the Quran, if God willed, if He wanted, He would have made you all believers. But He made you different so that you may get to know one another. How can you may know one another and comply with this rule of the Quran if you're gonna fight each other, if your main drive with the communication of the other is through the sword or whatever, through the fight? It's just not a natural way. And the Quran talks about Muslims and said, I'm not going to quote, but the meaning of one verse is, God has prescribed and allowed you to defend yourself, although it is not something that you like to do. Because it's not in the human nature. The hardship is not something that humans like. And war and warfare is obviously one of the hardest things that humans get to do. So it's just the human nature of that. So it's easy to take this verse out of context, is what is done, and say, yes, you see, Quran says Muslims should not befriend Jews and Christians and whatnot. How can it be when Islam is clear about the status of Jews and Christians as people of the book, and specifically Christians, when it talks about them and says you will find them some of them closest to you because there is people in monasteries among them who are not arrogant and who call themselves Christians. And what was the other verse? I'm sorry.
You know what? We're gonna take one more question.
Yes. Like what?
We can talk about it after.
And let the two of you.
Deal with it
I would be more than happy to talk to you after this, please, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Somebody in the back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is there anyone in the middle that we haven't caught yet?
Well, there are several people that have had their hands raised for a long time.
We're going with the people who are waiting the widest.
I've got a very different kind of a question. I've read interesting things about Sufism, and I wonder if you make a comment about that and what role Sufism plays in Islam.
Can you raise your hand? I can't see.
He's right here in the front.
Just right here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking in the back. So your question was about what? About Sufism? What specifically?
Yeah, right. I just make a comment about it because I think a lot of people don't know a lot about it,
Okay.
and what role it has in Islam.
Well, I think you answered one of the questions before that. Where is love? Love in Islam is mostly through the teachings of Sufism. Sufism, the spiritual dimension of Islam, it is the science, among other sciences of Islam, that teaches the techniques how to get close to God and how to get rid of your lowly, materialistic desires and get your soul free in loving your God.